Hello, this is Mike Pucciarelli. I'm the creator of, still life photography of Michael Pucciarelli. And in this tutorial or short webinar, I'll be talking about how to do presets with light painting in Adobe Camera Raw, where these are all the LED flashlights and the big lights that I have. And normally with the LED flashlight, the W means with filter. And the WO means without filter. And sometimes with the bigger light, I use the scrim. Like this means with scrim, and this means without scrim. I have all kinds of, LED lights where, the bigger lights use scrim or without scrim. And then there's a generated LED light where I have the snoot snock, reduces light to like 3/4 of a stop. Here I use it with the sock, here with without the sock. And with filter, without filter. And I recently bought, 2 new LED lights where this is a Savage with LED 204 LED power, where I use it with the scrim and I use it without the scrim. And then even more powerful LED light, the Sign LED, 1500 LED power, where it's with the scrim and without the scrim. And so this, webinar is going to talk about how I create and use presets. So in Adobe Camera Raw, where this one's already done, but I'm going to open an Adobe Camera Raw. But the only thing I want to do is click on this and just click on this for a neutral gray. And I click done. But before I click done, I want to say create preset. And then I would just check off none and just check off basic. And then I would give it a name. I already did that. So I'm going to, what I would do, if these were all done with a certain LED light, and open a Camera Raw, I do Control A. I would say, load settings. If I wanted to do it with a very small police flashlight with the filter, I would use that. And I click done. Make my screen bigger. So I'm going to open up in Camera Raw. I'm going to reset the default. And now it's back to the original raw state. And what I did, I'm going to open in Camera Raw. I'm going to do Control A. Now I already made all the presets. I'm going to load the settings. I'm going to use the big police with the filter. It's a big police, LED light. I click done. I'm gonna, since I already have that file selected, suppose I'd use another LED flashlight. Open Camera Raw. I could reset to default, but I want to load settings. I'm going to do the big police without the filter. This is with no filter on the flashlight. I'm going to click open. Done. I'm going to open in Camera Raw. This time, I'll do Control or Command A. I'll reset the defaults. So now I brought the raw files back to the original state. I'm going to open in Camera Raw. I'm going to do Control A because I want to select all the files. I'm going to go to my three dots. I'm going to load settings. I'm going to load on a more powerful LED light. It's that, Sign LED 1500 LED power without the scrim. I'm going to click done. I'm going to open in Camera Raw. I'm going to do Control or Command A. I'm going to reset it to default. Because now I'm going back to the original raw state. I'm going to click done. Now I'm going to load on a new preset. I click load settings. Now I'm going to click on the Sign LED flashlight 1500 LED power with the scrim because I want to use a softer LED light with this LED flashlight. And click done. I'm going to click on Open Camera Raw. Not going to always reset. I may reset, but I want to show, the power of loading the preset. I'm going to use this Coast with filter, with a foil filter on the flashlight to make the light smaller, softer. I'm going to click open. I'm going to click done. I'm going to do Control, open in Camera Raw. I'm going to reset it to default. I'm going back to the original raw state. I click done. Now I want to load a new preset where I just, open in Camera Raw. I'm going to load a new preset. Load. Now I'm going to do the Coast WO without the foil filter. I'm going to click done. And see these symbols here means that the raw files are reflected. Now I can always reset, but I'll reset in a few more, settings down. Suppose I wanted to put another, load more settings. I'm going to do Control or Command A. I could do reset the default. I'll do that later. I'm going to click load settings. This is a big, this is a Defiant, it's a bigger LED light. It's great. It fires light, Defiant gun light. It's great it fires a near beam of light. I'm going to do Control or Command, well, Open Camera Raw or Control R, Control or Command R. I'm going to reset. I'm going to click the three dots, More Image Settings, and it'll set to default. I'm going to click Done. So now the raw files are back to the original state. I'm going to open them up. I'm going to do, you can do right click, you can do Control or Command R. I'm going to do, select Control A, Control Command A to select all the files. I'm going to load a certain setting of a certain LED flashlight. I'm going to use the Defiant, big LED light. It fires light very narrow, but I'm going to use it without the filter. Because it's a different light with the filter. It's a different light without the filter. I'm going to click Done. So I just apply the preset of a certain LED flashlight. When the LED light is different, you use a new gray card, and therefore, suppose I would just click on the white balance, and then I would just, save settings. I would just give it a name. I would uncheck everything, and then I click Save. But I'm not going to do that because I already did that. So I'm going to select these three raw files. I'm going to open up Camera Raw. Do Control Command A. Reset the default. Done. So now I brought the raw files back to the original state. I'm going to open up Camera Raw. Do Control or Command A. I'm going to load settings because I want to load just one setting. I'm going to use a different light. I'm going to use the YN216. It's a very powerful light. I want to load another setting. And typically, I'd only, load one setting per set of files, but because I want to load another setting, suppose these were raw files from the start. Load settings. Now I'm going to use the YN216. It fires a narrow beam of light. It has barn doors. It's great for light painting something small from a distance. Click Done. Now I want to, bring these raw files back to the original state. Well, now to make sure that you select all the files, you do Control, Open in Camera Raw. Make sure you do Control Command A to select all the files. Because you'll know if you make a mistake, like you'll see this symbol here. So I'm going to use a much more powerful LED light in this load setting. You Control or Command A. I'm going to load a certain setting. I'm going to use the LC500 lighting wand. I'm going to use, with a scrim. I could reset it, but I'm going to load another setting, but I'll only be using one setting per set of files. Control or Command A. I want to use it now. I want to use this big, powerful LED light. Suppose there's light hitting a car and it's dark out. And the doors are closed. I'm going to just go to Camera Raw and I'm going to reset everything back to the original. Control or Command A. Suppose our light painting a car and I have 3 images. I would select the files. I do open a Camera Raw. Suppose this were a hood of a car, and suppose there's 15 images. Depending on how I use the LED light, I'm going to use, the LC500 lighting stick, no scrim, the barn doors are open wide. So these 15 files would have the same, settings. So every time you, have a new LED light, you just, you do a custom white balance. Click done. Already did that. I'm going to reset these to default. Do Control or Command A. Suppose I wanted to create, suppose this was done by a certain LED light. You open the Camera Raw. The only thing I want to do is what? Just set the white balance. And then in, settings, I would save settings, and the name of the LED light goes up here. The only thing I want to do is select basic. I don't want to do, geometry optics because I don't want to involve the camera profile. This will work with any camera profile. You click save and you give it a name, and it's only saved in the basic. So that's why, if you use a light with the filter, use a gray card. And this is without, that's why I use another gray card for this. With the filter, without. It's 2 different lights, 2 different ways. And a lot of times what I do is I use either a power light, a small power light with the filter, another, small LED flash light with the filter. And then for the background of my still life, I use the LC500 with the scrim. It's closed because that's a powerful light. So I just showed you how I use, lighting presets and light painting. So this is Mike Pucciarelli, creator of still life photography, and Michael Pucciarelli. Like this video, I have many more like this in my channel. I have sections on the white plex table, the black plex table. Light painting, I have like 5 sections. So maybe consider liking and subscribing. Thank you for listening to this short webinar on how I use presets in Adobe Camera Raw for light painting.